right. Good morning. What's happening, Sam? How are you?
Good morning. Doing fantastic.
All right. Got you up bright and early for a little coffee and coaching. Of course, I had to go with the pumpkin spice this morning just for
There you go.
the special occasion here.
That's right. Yeah, we're up before the sun's shining here in Colorado. So
Yeah. Just kind of sneak down there, try to be as quiet as you can before you wake everybody up. Yeah.
You got it.
I love it. Well, Sam, I appreciate you jumping in and really allowing us to kind of re kickstart, I guess might be the word, but relaunch the coffee and coaching series with a little different twist this go around and really layering in the hot seat format, which you're familiar with. You've been on the hot seat yourself in person several times. So it's good to have you on here and just being able to kind of chat through kind of where the business is and where the business is going and all of the fun stuff of navigating in this interesting climate that we're in real estate right now.
That is true. It's always good to get an outside perspective to what's going on in my own world. The hot seat has been a spectacular addition to Kitchen Table. It's really changed that for the better. I really enjoy that part of the equation so much that I've started using it in my own groups around Colorado here. So it's been a big hit here as well. So really love the format.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So kick us off, Sam. Give a little bit of background. We love to kick the hot seats off with a little bit of an origin story. We want to take a look at a little snapshot of current reality, but then also, where are we going? Where's that North Star? Where's that direction? So yeah, kick us off. Give us the story.
Well, my origin story really starts with me coming to Colorado all the way back in 2002. My origins really in recreation and travel and tourism. That's what I majored in college. It's always been a huge part of my life, and that's what brought me to the mountains. I always wanted to live in the mountains. Kind of fell into real estate, and we really came to the mountains with nothing. Straight out of college, got married, moved to the mountains. Only thing we had was student loan debt and a Toyota Corolla. So we were ground zero, trying to figure out how to live life and enjoy what mountain living looks like compared to the Midwest. Grew up in the Midwest, came from Wisconsin, and proud of that fact. So, so fell into real estate through a vacation rental agency. That's what I landed in with my recreation and travel, and really launched their office of just connecting with visitors coming to Estes Park. So from there, I became as beginning right out of getting married, we didn't have any kids. So I had all sorts of, freedom. And as we started having kids, we're like, okay, how are we going to make this work and actually make a living? And so when my daughter was born, was the first day I was supposed to start in real estate. So I tell that to people all the time, that it's easy to remember how long it's been because that's how old my daughter is. It worked out really well. So spent 2 years as a licensed assistant, jumped in both feet as a young kid, basically, 24-year-old in the mountains of Colorado, where the average age of our community is over 60. Building credibility was super important early in my career. So the first job in real estate I really had was a personal assistant, a licensed assistant, really getting everything done and helping, getting a lot of experience very quickly. So soon after that, I helped a small independent real estate agency get off the ground. They helped me go from working for a salary in an hourly type of a world. Needed to keep my young family fed. And as a real estate agent, it's hard to get launched. How do you get started? How do you transfer from no payment, no background, no savings, no nest egg to work with, and no second income? Because when my kids came along, we decided that we wanted to keep my wife home. So we focused on a single income. How could I create enough income for the family to survive just on one income? So helped a small independent company launch, get off the ground. They helped me go from hourly salary to 100% commission. A lot of hard work, a lot of extra hours, but I was able to do that in 6 months. So helped that company get going. Was with that company for 5 years as a small independent before I decided to launch my own thing. So in 2011, I kicked off my own small independent boutique brokerage here in Estes Park, and ran that for 10 years, and went from the ups and downs of starting a new company and really still a young kid at the time.
Yeah.
Let's see, in 2011, I would have been 31. So looking back on it, I was like, what was I doing at the time? But you didn't know any better, just kept recreating the wheel and moving forward. So lots of ups and downs in a small boutique brokerage, launching without any really mentors or coaching or anything, really kind of the YouTube university classes and, training that I can find, and trying to do it myself. And it worked over time. I'd say I was fairly successful. I was able to keep my wife at home, keep a solid income going, and really change the trajectory of my family's history. Yeah. And it didn't come without its ups and downs, though. Like I've said all along, it faced burnout quite a bit as the team was growing and shrinking at times. It really became burnout. So a big part of my story really comes next. Well, how did I fix that burnout? I jumped into my own self-inflicted exercise program of adding one more sit-up and one more push-up every day for a whole year, and also ran on my treadmill for 30 minutes every single day. So that, I set that up mainly to see if I could do it, for one. Yeah. And two, because if I wasn't doing things every day, I knew I'd let myself slide and just not be disciplined to keep up the program. So I knew I had to check it off. And once I had a streak going, I couldn't break it. So through a year of that exercise program, I did hit 365 of each push up and sit up and 30 more minutes on my treadmill. I became a runner again, which was fantastic. And also learned a ton through, just life lessons about myself. One, prioritizing my time was huge. Making time for myself in a busy real estate schedule. It's easy to get locked into, answering the calls, being available 24/7, 365. I wanted to prioritize my own time and really, what was I doing all of this for? And, was I really getting out of life what I wanted to get out of it? And learned a ton through that. I learned that as my kids were growing, I think my oldest was 14, 15 at the time, I saw the writing on the wall of, teenage kids moving out and, figuring out sports and activities and jobs and how much time are we really going to have as a family anymore. So instead of pouring all that newfound energy into my business, decided to take my family out on an adventure. And we basically took a sabbatical from real estate and traveled the country in a Class A RV and saw all 48 states in 3 months. So I was really excited about that. Really changed my entire structure of my business to focus on being able to be gone for those 3 months. Hired another agent, hired an admin. So I had 3 people working on the business. That was just a solo business before with an admin. So able to leave for 3 months, came back, and it was the time of our lives. We got stories from every part of the country, really saw a lot, did a lot. And we still, it's been 7 years later, 8 years later, we still talk about what we did on that trip, and we could do it again. So
all those magical moments. Yeah, it really is important. And I think, just kind of hearing kind of the journey up to this point, how a lot of agents, right? We hear the story where a lot of agents miss out on a lot of magical moments. And you were intentional in integrating that into, kind of the flight plan of the business and really becoming a non-negotiable. And I think that's kind of where the mindset has to be, that it has to be a non-negotiable, or you're going to miss that practice. You're going to miss that game. And then it's 2 games. And then, it's a whole season, and it just continues to feels like it continues to snowball. So being intentional with that, I think is super magical. So Sam, knowing kind of up to this point, kind of currently what the business looks like, but more importantly, where's the future? Where's the business as we're designing it now? Where are we going? What's that North Star?
Yeah. So coming out of that RV trip, the aha moment that, hey, my business can run, doesn't have to all be on my shoulders. So really opened my eyes to opportunities and to how can we step out of being the only person that all the bottleneck that the business has to run through. Yeah. How do I remove myself from that? And so EXP came calling around that time, jumped into your world around that time. And through that coaching, you've really helped me through a lot of more ups and downs as trying to get myself out of being the bottleneck and really scale a business instead of just continuing to work a job. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm still in that journey. I would say I have much more solid foundation, but continuing to remove the minutia off my plate so I can focus on solving problems and building relationships in my business is where I've been on as far as a journey and where I'm at right now. So moving forward, I'd love to continue that. I've gained a lot of experience and I have a heart for encouraging others in this business and learn where I fell short and where my expertise can help people. So my tagline since I launched my own small independent was helping people make wise real estate decisions. And I'm getting that in to focus more on helping agents make wise real estate decisions with their business. So that's where I'm going. That's what I'm headed towards.
Yeah. So making that shift and instead of, like you said, doing a little duality, right? Focus on obviously still serving your clients, Estes Park, but also being kind of a leader within the community, which you've kind of volunteered almost and taken a role into really mentoring and coaching and leading other real estate agents. So it really is just how kind of that journey. And we find ourselves in these positions. And I don't know if it's just a reflection of, getting a little bit older, but it's like, you start to kind of reflect. And I was like, okay, at this age, how did I view, folks that are my age, and starting to think through it. So it is an interesting kind of position we tend to find ourselves in, especially if we've been in an industry for decades, is how you start to just wind up in certain positions. But Sam, looking at kind of, obviously where we're at, where we're going, what's giving you the greatest kind of wind in your sails right now, the thing that's working the best, that's giving you the most momentum, that is also maybe giving you the most confidence going into this last half of the year?
Yeah, I'd say if you were to ask me that question a couple of years ago, I would probably point to just one thing. And I'm realizing more and more over time that it's really the culmination of a lot of little things and stacking those wins on top of each other. From my Google reviews to building a solid reputation in the market, building an office space and having that same office space over time for the last, well, now it's been 15 years, having the same office in the same place right in front of the only grocery store in town. These little things have built up towards what I'd say is just consistency in the marketplace is kind of my superpower that helps keep the flywheel going for my business. That's the production side of things. So if I wanted to drill down deeper into things, I've been running a newsletter and certain rhythms to my business in my year since 2008, really. So a lot of years, a lot of consistency of people kind of expect that same thing over and over again, from my newsletter to my annual report.
Yeah. Talk about that, Sam. Unpack that, because it is, it's one of those things, right? Like nobody's doing it is why we do it, right? They zig, we zag. And, money moves to differentiation. That's what people have to remember. Most of the time they get caught up, well, nobody's doing it, then I'm not going to do it. It must not work. And it's like, it all works if you understand the principles. But what you've been consistent, and you'll get a call like, Sam, you okay? Where's my report? But I think if you lay that out, what it is and the importance behind it, I think it'll really resonate with some folks that have been on the fence about sending something physical out to their top clients.
Yeah. And so it's an email newsletter that I send out, and that the email newsletter comes out every month. It is really focused on Estes Park specifically. So my small mountain market. I don't use any canned content from anywhere else, not talking about the market anywhere else. But the real key is the commentary, the opinion, the bias that I have, the encouragement that I can put into it myself, that unique voice. I do use AI to help me build that, but it's still coming out in my voice and my direction for it. So key parts of my newsletter that people continually look back at, looking at the back end, what are people clicking on, what are people checking on the most, and that's two things: my best buys, what I consider to be the best buys in the marketplace. And so I go through 5 different categories, each of the quartiles: the low quartile, lower middle quartile, upper middle, and then the high-end luxury market. And then I go for the eye candy, the best in some of the most expensive real estate in the area. People love to see that as well. So those 5 categories. So I'm just taking from the MLS the photos and do a little bit of commentary on each property, and not just the standard listing description, why I think it's unique and that sort of thing. So that commentary and the best buys get people clicking all the time, keep people coming back. And then also have a spot for all of my listings and everything that's going on. Those 2 things easily get the most amount of traction in my newsletter. Also, of course, the stats and commentary for that, advice specifically for buyers, advice specifically for sellers, and then an article about what's going on in the marketplace, what, big picture, how is it affecting Estes Park, that sort of thing. That's really my headline, and start out with, use a lot of eye candy with, if you're not familiar with Estes Park in Colorado, go to Google Images, type in Rocky Mountain National Park, and that's what I sell.
That's your market.
So that's easy for me to just use. Any kind of homes with that kind of background, the mountain backgrounds, the big views, are always a part of my marketing, about who I am, about what I have to offer. It's always catching them with that eye candy. So that's in the newsletter as well. So people open up that newsletter when it hits. Happy to see about a 40% open rate with an email newsletter over the last 15 years. So that's my email newsletter. My end of year report is kind of putting that on steroids. More eye candy, more deeper commentary on the market, more advice, predictions for the future, that sort of thing goes in that end of year report. And then kind of a status update, kind of a state of Alpine Legacy, state of my company, to keep in touch with people and keep them engaged in what's going on. So the result of those 2 things is, I close transactions with people, multiple times over my career. Like I'd say there's probably a dozen different clients that I have closed more than 3 transactions with. And, over time in different lead sources, your database just grows and grows and grows. It's almost impossible to make one-on-one communication happen with everybody in your database. Everybody struggles with that. And I always beat myself up for it, but realize that's pretty much normal. So the newsletter fills in that gap for people that I haven't talked to in possibly years, that I see are still opening my newsletter, still paying attention, still getting hit with the information that I'm putting out there. And they're the ones that come back or send me their neighbor when they're looking to buy or sell. So over time, it's been a great way to keep in touch with my database as a primary way I'm pouring into my database.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is leading with the eye candy to get them to open and really stay connected with it. But also, I think what's super important when I hear you kind of talking about it is your perspective, right? Like, and you've been in the market long enough, and we kind of joke, right? You've been in most of these homes. So it's like, the inside, and kind of where it is. And you definitely have a perspective of the market that a lot of folks don't have. And then you're able to showcase that and demonstrate it out to the database, which is such a powerful lesson for everybody. Is like, listen, if you don't have a consistent communication going to your database, then what are you doing? Right. And I always remember the Dan Kennedy, it doesn't matter how many people you have in your database. It only matters how many you're proactively communicating with in your database. And you have a tool that people actually want, and that you're able to consistently provide to them. And that builds trust. I think consistently knowing it's showing up, they see it over time. To me, that's just goodwill, and it builds trust within the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with today's tools and technology, you can see who's paying attention and who's bubbling to the top, and that's who you can focus on. Mm-hmm. And, you can try to dig out the people that are unsubscribed or whatever, but that's just a waste of time. So focusing on people that are swimming towards the boat, that's where you're going to be able to save. Yep.
Yeah. That's so good. So good. So Sam, let's shift to the biggest constraint, bottleneck, the thing that's keeping you up at night, the rock in your shoe, whatever, kind of frame for you, how you're thinking about this, and really, what you're trying to navigate through at this point.
Yeah. So, as my team has shifted, I've moved into more of a solo model with assistants. And so I have 3 different assistants. I've got a virtual assistant that helps me with my marketing side of things. I've got an in-person assistant that helps me with anything that's physically present in my world. And then I also have a transaction coordinator. So with 3 staff, I'll call them, 3 staff members, I'm trying to get that minutia off my plate, still run that solo model where I'm the only agent that's helping buyers and sellers. That is kind of flown in the face of trying to build passive income and trying to get out of trading time for dollars, and the direct Correlation of if I don't sell real estate, I don't eat. So I have plenty of tools and resources at my fingertips, being coaching with you, the resources that we have in EXP, the resources I've built personally over time, the expertise, all of this stuff that I have right here at my fingertips. And yet I struggle with the bottleneck of me and the fact that I have to, trade my time for dollars instead of building more passive income. The launching, from a decent income to not much income in that passive world yet is difficult for me to focus on that passive income and grow that when I'm still got to get these sales done, and it kind of drags me down. So my biggest bottleneck is that how do I launch into passive income efficiently without I'm going to point it out first, and there's a fear there of not having that income and not having anybody else to really rely on that is in my business that I can delegate results to, of really anything that's going to, the minutia. Got the staff to handle that, but driving those big decisions, driving those big leverage points of more transactions, I don't have that to lean on when I really want to be focusing on helping agents and building that passive income side of things. So,
it is the struggle, Sam. And we saw it early on when we first made the move over, coming in 2017, 2018, coming over. And, we leaned in on the agent attraction side of things because it was more of a natural flow with the coaching and the coaching model. So it was more natural for us to focus on, trying to collect agents instead of trying to collect buyers and sellers. And so it put us down that path. And so we had folks gravitating to us, but we were focused on that. And this is how we're doing it. This is kind of what we know to be true. And it took people jumping into that bucket. And then all of a sudden, because the cash conversion cycle on bringing agents over is a lot longer than working with the buyer or seller, their cash flow took a hit. And so they abandoned the attraction of agents and jumped right back into production. And it's just kind of a here or there. One of the things that we've uncovered to be true, and had a good conversation with Mr. Michael Reese about this, and it's he saw it and I saw it, and we came to the agreement that it takes a combination of, yes, you have to focus on production. You've got to make sure you have the right leverage, but if you want to and almost have to do both, you've got to focus on the agent attraction with a one-to-many type of strategy. You've got to bring people together and really, people, we say this all the time, even with coaching, right? People really don't want to buy coaching. They want to buy a result, right? They want you to help me collapse time. They want, to help me generate revenue. They want me to, get more profitable. They want me to have more time, more freedom, because that's really it, right? There's really only three things. You either want more revenue, you want more profit, or you want more freedom. That's it. I mean, there's only three things that you want in your business. And so, how do you do those things? And it's like, well, if I get more revenue, won't I be more profitable? Yeah. But two, you could, grow through subtraction. You could make some cuts, maintain certain revenue, and then all of a sudden you're more profitable. But in some cases, people are like you were saying, I'm burnt, man. I'm cooked. I want more freedom. I want more time. Yep. And there's trade-offs in all three, just really determining what you want. And I think when you look at, okay, well, I want an agent attraction strategy to give me more freedom, which will also give me more profitability, which can also buy me more freedom of time of what it is that I'm wanting. So it's understanding right things, right order, but really what is the truth? What are you trying to accomplish? And if we're honest, right, because all progress begins with the truth. If we're honest, then we can be like, okay, let's get the right strategy, because what are you trying to say, Sam, is, dude, I just want more time. I want more passive income to where I don't have to trade time for dollars. Got it. Okay, let's focus on that strategy. And then what are all the ways to get Sam more freedom to where his dollars are making, working for him, and he's not having to trade time for more dollars. That's the real thing that we're trying to solve.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And so you can see where people get in trouble, right? That if they don't think about that, because like the real, like what we just uncovered is that Sam you just want more time, that you're not trading time for dollars. It's not that you necessarily want more revenue or you want more profit. It's just, dude, I just need some healthy money coming in that I'm not having to dance for. Because, right, essentially real estate agents are dancing bears. If they don't dance, they don't get paid. Same thing for me on the coaching side of things, right? If I don't dance, I don't get paid. And so I think being honest with what the real goal is, and then what are all the ways? And then it's like, okay, well, where do you need to be real estate wise for money coming in? What assets, resources do you have? How can we make those? Can we make some investments? Can we get some things going? Can we pick up another rental property that could give us a little extra cash flow that could eliminate me selling one house a month on average to help with that? So it's just thinking through all the ways. But when you look at the agent attraction piece of what we're uncovering to be true, there has to be a top of funnel type of strategy. And the only way, and listen, recruiting agents is a high ticket sale.
Yep.
Selling real estate is a high ticket sale. You're in the high ticket sales business.
Right.
And when you get into the high ticket sales of recruiting agents, if you don't have a top of funnel strategy and you're going right at the high ticket, let me just recruit you, you're going to make the investment on the ads side of things. There's no other way. You're going to have paid advertisement to get people's attention, unless you just have the slow, consistent training in the marketplace for months and months and quarters and potentially years to build that goodwill. So it's like, okay, Sam, what's your time and temperature do you have here? Right. We got the compass set, but what's your time? Because that's another factor we have to consider into the decision is, okay, Sam wants more freedom of time to where he's not dancing and trading time for dollars. But okay, Sam, here's the other question. How fast do we want to do this? What's our time frame? What can we accomplish? And then we have to take that into consideration into the strategy as well.
Right. Love it. Yeah. The one-to-many is something that, I'm already using in my real estate business. I should be doing that for my agent attraction as well.
Yes.
The newsletter, the content, the database that I can pour into all at once, instead of trying to muscle through calling every single one or spending time with every single one. That one-to-many strategy really, I'm starting to shift that way with some things that I'm doing, but that's taken a lot of time to figure out. And likewise, what you're saying, I can't go after a $2 and $3 million listing if I don't have any track record. you're just going to get thrown to the side and not be in contention for that listing if I just go right after that alone, right out of the gate. Time and success and a track record of success is what a seller of a $2 and $3 million listing is wanting to see. The eye candy of, do they look good? Can they handle my transaction? I think that's probably similar to the agent attraction piece. If someone's doing a lot of business, why would they listen to somebody that just joined a new company and all of a sudden they want me to shift over there? Well, that's not going to work. Well, where's the proof? Where have you seen success? Where have you seen, that storyline that matches up, that longevity and success record to match up with somebody that you'd want to target right out of the gate.
Yeah, it is. And, I think overcoming that limiting belief as well, right? Like you're talking about the newsletter. And the first thing that came to my mind is I can see where an agent would, sabotage themselves with making the next move. And you're like, well, what value do I have? What value can I provide? And there's one of my favorite concepts it's from Frank Shamrock's MMA studio. And as a student coming into, his MMA business, is that you have to find a plus, a minus, and an equal along your journey. What that means is that you got to find somebody that you look up to, somebody that you want to mentor you, somebody that can teach you and that's out ahead of you. And, sometimes we get this false belief that, oh man, they got to be a black belt, I'm a white belt. And it's like, no, all you need is somebody that's maybe a belt ahead of you, maybe a chapter or two in the book ahead of you. That's it, right? A plus, somebody ahead of you. You got to find a minus, somebody that I'm going to mentor, somebody that I'm going to, take on that responsibility. And you might be like, well, Sam, I'm a white belt. Who can I teach? Well, you can mentor somebody you made a decision to, make the commitment and have the courage to step in this studio. Somebody else might be, at that crossroads trying to have the courage to make the same decision. So maybe you can talk about your journey on social media. Maybe you can be a mentor from afar, and then somebody comes in and maybe you get, that 2 or 3 weeks ahead, that chapter or two ahead of yourself. Now you've got somebody that's just stepping in that you can guide and mentor along the way. Same thing in real estate, right? It's like, well, you had to go through a process to get your license. Maybe you can mentor somebody on the process to help them pass and get their license as well. And then the other is the equal, right? I want to find somebody that's running side by side with me, elbow to elbow, knee to knee, that we're pushing each other, holding each other accountable, trials and tribulations, heads up, at the end of the day, maybe we have a fun carrot and stick competition kind of going on, but it's super, super important to be able to have that. And so back to that principle of, well, what do I have to give? What do I have to teach? I don't know. But you are chapters and steps and miles ahead of other folks coming on this journey. You absolutely have something to pour into them. Yep. And it could be to the point, Sam, of, man, I read this book, or I had this conversation, or this agent helped me do this thing. It's more of a how the sausage is being made instead of how good the sausage is, I think, is the direction of content, which I think we didn't even get into your commitment to be obsessed to becoming the best marketer possible. I mean, you are one of the ones that I know invests the most into your skill set and you becoming that marketer better than anybody. And we can see it in your social media. We can see it, how you're showing up online, how you're showing up offline. It really is remarkable. I would say that's another great thing that's working for you. But the other component on kind of the struggle and the challenge is all in on the one to many on the agent attraction side of things, and holding tight to that and just focused on pouring into people and providing opportunities is really the best way, with a clear call to action. Because I think that's where a lot of folks mess up, is they add value. It's the jab, 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 but you do have to throw the hook. You do have to go for the ask at some point. And I think a lot of agents miss the ask in, hey, are you good, or would you like some more help with that? Sam, I would love some help with that. Great. Here's how I can help you. And this is what it would look like. So just being able to have the confidence to go for the ask, but the confidence that you can provide value to others, I think is where it has to start.
Yeah, that's I appreciate the encouragement there too. Yeah, I have been on a journey of marketing, and my just looking at myself, I always just wanted to be the good agent or be the good mentor and let my results speak for myself. Yeah. And over time, over these last few years of really diving into the marketing side of things, it's yes, be the good person, do the things the right way, do things in the right order, but don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to build that marketing funnel that asks for the business or directs people into taking action. Because without you telling somebody to take action, most times they don't. They just sit back and consume content or move on with their life without taking action. So I built my business. I really originally built my business trying to disappear into the background so that I could sell it. And that really isn't the right path. And you talk about all the time, your story about selling, a real estate business isn't going to be nearly as profitable as you dream it will be. Yeah. And the real answer to the equation is passive income over time. So how can you build a business that is built around yourself? The journey in marketing that I've been doing is really realized I was hiding way too much. I wasn't putting myself out there and showcasing what I have to offer and using those sales techniques to gently close the transaction, not close like a jerk, and try to do what's best for you only, but how do I help people make those decisions that lead to a transaction, solving those bigger problems that put more money back in my pocket as well, while I'm helping somebody else accomplish their dream. So I realized over time that I can be a marketer, a closer, a sales professional, and be helpful and be the true, real person that I am and help people alongside both and instead of either or.
That's a great distinction. And I hope people caught that, right? It's not or, it's and. And that is a real strategy. You don't have to just be, this. You can be both. You can be, multiple things to multiple different people. So I think it's overcoming that, but you're so spot on. And really leaning into, to those things. And it's just the biggest thing I can, push on people is that everybody has something to give and some value to add. And there's a way always to package it, but we got to get clear on what the real objective is first, like we did, right? We got clear. It's not Sam wants to make more money. It's Sam wants the money that he's making is working for him, that he doesn't have to trade his time for that money to come in.
Yes. Because even though I'm very disciplined in, making time for my family, family's first, always has been, always will be, even though I'm still focused on that, I see how I'm still locked in this business and spending a lot of time to try to make the wheels go round. Yeah. And late nights, early mornings, extra hours on the weekends, all these things that I have to do to keep my cash flow going. I'd love to trade that for more magical moments if I can, and travel more for sure, whether it's for me or with my family or not, or, for real estate purposes. That's what I'd love to be doing, to meeting more people, having these cool experiences, and less being on the phone at 9:00 at night with a transaction that's blown up. So that's where I'd love to go. That's the deeper layer of, what's driving me right now is trying to find more of those magical moments and live my life a little more instead of just stuck on my phone.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So good. Sam, how can folks get connected with you, especially if they want to dive a little bit deeper on what you're doing on the one-to-many strategy, but also connecting, multiple things that they could, tap in and learn from you as it comes to, kind of the trophy markets, like Anestas part, to consistent communication, to value add, to that database and building and maintaining trust. What's the best way for folks to be able to align and get connected with you?
Yeah, well, all my socials are my name, Sam Basel. So just Google me or search me under Sam Basel. Alpine Legacy is my company. That's my website, alpinelegacy.com. That's where I sell the real estate in Estes Park. That's where the eye candy is, and the fun stuff is all linked through as alpinelegacy.com. So those are the two channels, really.
So good. Sam, appreciate you. And thanks for being on the hot seat and crushing it as always. Appreciate you. Guys, get connected with Sam, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.